Welcome back to Book Yaps with Ash. I am Ash, and if you are watching this video, then I assume you've at least heard of this show. Maybe you've watched it, maybe you're thinking about watching it, or maybe you've just seen everybody you know talking about it online. Whether or not you've watched Heated Rivalry, you may be considering reading the books, and I'm here to tell you that yes, you should read them. But should you read them before you watch the show, during, after? How should you read them? In what order? In what format? I've read them all and I've got the answers for you. So if you didn't know, the show Heated Rivalry is based off of a book series by Rachel Reed called Game Changers. And Game Changers currently has 6 books with a 7th about to be published. And if you're unfamiliar with the romance genre, a lot of times you'll have these series where each book kind of exists as a standalone, but they're part of the same universe. So every book is about 2 different characters falling in love because it's romance, probably having sex, and you might hear about the other characters in each book, but really they all do kind of exist as their own little world. They're not really sequels, but they all exist in the same universe. In some cases, like in the case of Game Changers, they do go in chronological order. But yeah, that's kind of the setup of a lot of romance series. So Game Changers, the series, like I said, has 7 books with the 7th about to be published this year. And Heated Rivalry, the show, is based off of the 2nd book mostly, but also a bit of the 1st book, Game Changer. So let me quickly tell you about each of the books in the Game Changer series. So of course, first we have Game Changer. This is about Scott and Kip. Scott is the captain of the New York Admirals hockey team. He has been a closeted gay man for basically his whole life, and he has never felt safe coming out. There's never been a gay NHL player, and so he doesn't really believe that he can come out. There's nothing making him feel safe. Actually, there's lots of things making him feel unsafe. Slurs, attitude, etc. Scott one day meets Kip in a smoothie shop and is obsessed with him, and they start seeing each other. And so the trope of this book, it's a meet cute. Unfortunately, there is some sadness around the story because they have to hide their relationship. But overall, it's a great story. Scott and Kip are adorable. I love them so much. Okay, then we get into Heated Rivalry, and Heated Rivalry is about Shane and Ilya. Of course, you know them, you love them, and they are both hockey players. They are both rivals, actually. So even before their rookie year, they are considered rivals. They're 2 of the best players. You know, it's all about which one will be drafted first, which one will be rookie of the year, which one will score more goals, blah blah blah. The league has always pit them against each other, but they are hot for one another. And so they have to hide that, of course, because not only are they queer, they are rivals. So that is what the story of Heated Rivalry is all about. Book 3 is called Tough Guy. It is about Ryan Price, who is a defender on the Toronto team. And this story is a second chance romance. So one day Ryan runs into an old friend, Fabian, who he knew when he billeted at his house when they were kids and he was in junior hockey. And they are kind of an opposites attract situation. Ryan is huge. He's a defender. He's an enforcer. So his job on his team is to beat the shit out of anyone who goes after the All-Stars, which I watched hockey growing up. I never knew this was a thing. That's crazy. And Fabian is a feminine musician. So yeah, this is a second chance friendship and opposites attract situation. The 4th book is called Common Goal, and this one is about Kyle, who you may recognize if you've watched the show from any of the Kip scenes. He works at the Kingfisher, and this is about Kyle and Eric, the goalie of the New York Admirals. This one, the trope is age gap, and a lot of people get kind of hesitant to read age gap. And let me tell you, as someone who read it and also, isn't a fan of power dynamics that come with age gap, you don't get any of the power dynamics in this scenario, in this relationship. And so I really liked the age gap situation, but this is really just about Eric has recently been divorced. He's exploring his sexuality, and Kyle is trying to be a friend and help him find and sleep with other men, but they both like each other, obviously. So that's number 4. The next one, the 5th one, is called Role Model. It's about one of the hockey players who is kind of falling for the social media manager who is very openly gay. It's a friends to lovers, and to be honest with you, I love Shane and Ilya. I love Heated Rivalry. I love the show. I think Role Model is my favorite of the stories just because of the friends to lovers trope. It just was so warm and lovely to read. I can't say too much about this one without spoiling things, so I won't. But yeah, that's all I'll say about Role Model. I love Role Model. And then the last one that's published is The Long Game. So we are revisiting Shane and Ilya many years into their situationship, let's just say. And yeah, I won't say anything else about that because I'm trying really hard not to spoil any of the books here for anybody who hasn't read them or seen the show, which it's very difficult actually. But yeah, that is the 6 that are published. The next one coming out is another Shane and Ilya story that takes place soon after The Long Game, I think. I haven't read it, obviously. But that is the 7. And so that's the Game Changers series. Now, I read them all. I liked them all. I feel like it's unfair to compare them or rank them or anything like that because they all have to be different. They're all different relationships. They're all different dynamics. They're all different characters. I don't think it's fair to really compare one against the other. I think they're all great. I didn't have it. A lot of people seem to have issues with like Rachel Reed's writing style. I didn't have any issues at all. All of them made me kick my feet, smile, and feel great. So that's what you'll get out of them. Okay, now before I get into like which book should you read, blah blah blah, I just want to talk about the romance genre as a whole. So, first of all, Heated Rivalry as a show has done so much for romance, specifically gay romance, which is huge. So, romance books, especially smut books, you know, the ones that are triple spice, open door, you're gonna know everything. Those books historically have been published as EPUB, as ebooks, basically. So not sold in stores, taboo, right? Like it's on an e-reader because you don't want people to know that you're reading smut. And what Heated Rivalry as a show has done for the book genre is made that normal. It's made these books being published, and finally, by the way after the show came out, but finally printed and published and on the bestsellers table and on the bestsellers list and at the front of the store marketed as ones to buy. It has really shot them into the mainstream, and now we are seeing other gay hockey books that are going to print. What is the one that Storm's reading called? Puck Boys. Puck Boys is another example. I haven't read this series, but Storm has read it. She knows everything about everything when it comes to gay hockey romance. But it is going to the publishers now because of Heated Rivalry, the show, making people want to buy these books. So if you've never read this kind of romance, smut, before, it's not taboo. It shouldn't be taboo. Sex is a natural thing. These books are natural. They are not just porn, as people would say. They are relationships, and relationships include sex and exploration and all of that, and that's what these are. So if this is entirely new to you, if you've seen the show, the book is more spicy. It's more steamy than the show. They all are, pretty much. So obviously expect that, but expect it and go into it with an open mind if it's new to you, because I think that it is great for people to be reading. It's great to read about relationships and communication, and to learn about sex, and to learn about bodies and love. So I'm really happy that this is the direction that we're going. And so yeah, I just want to say that. Let's talk about the books versus the show. So what does season 1 cover? Season 1 covers Heated Rivalry as its main plot arc. character arc, story arc. It's about Shane and Ilya. But something you need to know that I'm gonna try to explain without spoiling any of the books, for those who don't know what happens in Heated Rivalry, is that there is no Shane and Ilya without Scott and Kip. And Scott and Kip are in Game Changer. So, in season 1 of Heated Rivalry, the show, you will get mostly the story of Shane and Ilya, and you will get a little bit of the story of Scott and Kip. So their book is really shrunk down into like basically one episode and like a little bit more. For me, I went in, I read Heated Rivalry first, I watched the show, then I read Game Changer. What I would recommend to you, if you are fresh, if you haven't seen any of it, if you don't know what happens, read Game Changer, then read Heated Rivalry, then watch the show. Okay? If you've already watched the show and you're looking to read the books, just start in order. Like, can you start with Heated Rivalry if you really want to and then go Game Changer? Yeah, but I think just start in order, okay? Because they're both good. Season 2, which is not out yet, probably won't be out for a year, so you've got time, will be covering, according to our Lord and Savior, Jacob Tierney, the long game. And so, as I said, the long game is Shane and Ilya many years into their situationship. But the thing is that there are 3 other books in between Heated Rivalry and the long game. As I said, Tough Guy, Common Goal, and Role Model. And so, to prepare for season 2, I recommend reading all of the books in order. Because while you're just going to be getting the long game, there's so many things that happen that lead to the events of the long game in the other books, especially Role Model, that are definitely going to be covered in the show, whether it is an episode, whether it's part of an episode, they'll be included. And I think it's always better to go in with more context because you're just going to love what they do on screen more. I knew what was going to happen in season 1, episode 5 of Heated Rivalry, the show. I still bawled like a little baby. I still had a full-blown heart attack. But I think I did that because I knew what was going to happen. Anyways, so the big burning question, read the books or not? And obviously the answer is yes. But I will say I'm not just like, I make book content, I read books, so you're probably expecting me to be like, yeah, of course read the book. The book's always better, blah, blah, blah. I won't always say that, okay? There are 2 book to movie adaptations specifically in the past year that I have read and then watched, and I would fully tell you to skip the books. They're both Stephen King. They're both short stories. It's The Monkey and it's The Mist. And both the movies were far better than the stories. But for this situation, these are character-driven stories, and I always think in a character-driven story that while the actors can portray how they're feeling with their facial expressions, you get so much more when you get their internal monologue in a book. Because in the book, you get what they're thinking and what they say and what they do. In the film, the screen adaptation, you get what they say and what they do, and you've got to kind of infer the rest of it, right? So when you go into it having read the book, you know what they are thinking when they aren't saying things out loud. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okay. Well, that is why, that's reason number 1 why I would recommend reading the books. Reason number 2, this show was adapted for its book fans, okay? Heated Rivalry had a fan base before this was like global, okay? It was an underground fan base. Like I said, the books were not published really in stores, but people were reading them and people were loving them, okay? And so Jacob Tierney adapted this for them. He knew his audience was going to be the people who read the books. So he was like, I've got to be loyal to this because they're not going to like it if it's not like the book, which honestly should be the case for every adaptation, but whatever. He also adapted it without really having anywhere for it to go. Like, he made the show and then Crave bought it and then HBO bought it. So he had all of this creative freedom that wasn't limited by a production company, like a big production company, which I feel like always ruined things. I think that if this was adapted in the States even, it would have been a whole different story. Honestly, it probably wouldn't have even been made because it's gay. But anyways, so that's another reason to read the books, because having read the book, remembering dialogue and seeing it verbatim, word for word on screen is such a wonderful experience as a reader. It's so exciting. You don't get that all the time. You pretty much never get it when they make a book into a movie or a show. And so that is just joy right there. Why wouldn't you want that? Now, a lot of people I know watch the show, read Heated Rivalry, and skipped ahead to the long game. I'm here to tell you, don't do that. If you've already done it, fine, whatever, I'm not your mom. Don't do it. If you're gonna start reading them, if you're considering it, I'm telling you, you will get the best experience if you start from 1 and end at 7. You're gonna be like, well, I love Shane and Elia, I only want Shane and Elia. And what I can tell you without spoiling anything, Elia is a character that exists in every book, whether he's mentioned a couple of times, or what I'll tell you about Role Model is that the plot of Role Model and the long game are like this, okay? So he is in that one a lot. And there's so much that happens between Heated Rivalry and the long game that I think if you just skipped ahead to that one, you would miss a lot of context, you would miss a lot of nuance, you would miss a lot of work that the queer players did to get to the point where they're at in the long game. And especially Elia, he goes through so much throughout the entire storyline, but again, specifically Role Model, and I think that the story of the long game will hit you harder and you will enjoy it more, and you will also be excited that you got to it after you have read every other book in the series. So I'm sorry that I'm telling you that you've got to read 5 books before you get to the last Shane and Elia one, but I promise you it is worth it. I did it that way. Well, like I said, I read Heated Rivalry, watched the show, then read Game Changer, but then I read everything in order, and I think it's worth it to do it that way. If you haven't watched the show, definitely do start with Game Changer, because something in Heated Rivalry will spoil something in Game Changer for you. Like a pretty big thing. And it's fine if I spoiled it for me. I still loved reading Game Changer, but I know now. So let me tell you how to get the best experience out of these books. And it's shockingly, surprisingly, go in order. Okay, now what format? I know we've got audiobook readers. I know we got eyeball readers. E-readers. Obviously e-reader is like the most accessible. But for my audiobook fans, okay? I gotta tell you, you're gonna have to eyeball read books 1 to 3. Game Changer, Heated Rivalry, and Tough Guy. And the reason for that is, unfortunately, the narrator for those first 3 books does not do a very good accent for Elia. Or a very good job at all. From what I haven't listened to it, but from what I've heard, it is not a good experience to listen to the first 3 books on audio. Kind of ruins the books for you, and I've had that happen to me for another book. And so, like I said, I haven't done it, but I have it on good authority and a good sources that you should not audio the first 3. The last 3, definitely. I did the last 3 on audio. They're narrated by someone called Cooper North. He also narrated Rachel Reed's other standalone book, Time to Shine, which you will love this. So, read this. Oh my god, people love this book. People say this is her best one, actually, so. Anyways, Cooper North did the last 3 Game Changer books, Common Goal, Role Model, and The Long Game. I'm assuming he will probably do the newest one, and it is much better. His Elia accent, it makes its way there, but Elia isn't as he's not in Common Goal as much as he's obviously in The Long Game, so it gets better over time. If you don't want an audiobook, they are like all in stores now, which this isn't it, which is great because You know, normally if a adaptation is coming out, they print a adaptation book cover, which a lot of people do not like, and they sell that far before the adaptation comes out. For example, you've been able to buy the Project Hail Mary cover with Ryan Gosling since before Christmas, and it's not even out yet. I think that they didn't anticipate just the absolute success that this show would have, and so for the first time probably ever, this show came out, you went to the store, you couldn't even buy Heated Rivalry, let alone the rest of the series. But now I can confirm, at least where I live, they got a ton of them. So if you want to go buy the physical books, I say definitely do it. Support Rachel Reed. And lastly, of course, they are on EPUB because that's where they were born and raised. This was my lesson on how to consume this gay hockey universe. Obviously, if I'm making this video strictly speaking about it, that I'm a big fan. I think it's, like I said, I think it's been great for the romance genre. I think it's been great for queer romance specifically. I think these are great stories. I rate them all 5 stars because, like I said, I kick my feet, I smile, I go hee hee, I go whoa. And that's what I want out of them. So, is this literary fiction worthy of a Pulitzer Prize or the Booker Prize or whatever? I guess not. If there was a romance genre, maybe. But I think that it has its place, I read really sad stuff sometimes. I just finished The Nightingale, and it fucking killed me, okay? And while those books hold a really special place in my heart, I feel like they're amazing storytelling, these books have a place as well. And they are meant to just make you feel happy and all giddy and like love is real. And so I think everybody should read them. I think people who maybe are a little bit more afraid about talking about sex, this is a great place to explore that because you get to do it in private, really. And maybe it will make you change your mind about certain things that you might feel like might be taboo. This has been my yap. Let me know if you've read them. I know a lot of people who watch these videos have already read them. So hopefully this finds in a couple people of a couple new audience members that haven't read them yet or are considering it. And let me know if you read them. Let me know which one's your favorite. If you've got other similar recommendations, I love listening to romance audiobooks while I play Animal Crossing and do household chores. So please recommend. And this has been Book Yaps with Ash, and I've been Ash. And I'll be Ash tomorrow probably.